Hey guys, what's up? Today in the Brick Lab we are going to be building ourselves a mini Griefbringer Dragon from Ninjago, Master of the Mountain. So this is definitely a build that is long overdue, judging by the requests I've gotten, and to be honest, I probably would have had this done a lot sooner had I not decided to start out by trying to design this thing from scratch, and let me tell you, it was rough going. I mean, I got as far as the ribcage, and then I was like, this thing just isn't working out. And plus, the problem is when I design things from scratch, I tend to use the parts that I have on hand, and that's not necessarily the parts that everyone else has on hand. And so I decided that the best way to make a Griefbringer that most people could build would be to make one using the Master Wu Dragon set. And so here we go. I just took that set and modified it until it looks, more Griefbringer-y than Master Wu Dragon-y. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the features. So of course we have the dragon's head here, and if you'll notice, this head should look familiar if you've seen last week's video. It's actually the modified head that I came up with for Chompy. Basically I just recolored it all white and then just gave him some glowing green eyes here, which don't really glow, but I guess that's where your imagination and some good lighting comes into play. And fun fact, I actually ordered that eye piece from Bricks and Pieces, fully intending to use it on my own version of the Griefbringer, but I guess it really wouldn't fit in with this version of the head, so I guess I'll keep it for a future dragon project, maybe if I actually get around to designing that Wind Dragon or the Moro Dragon or something, maybe even the Overlord, although I guess that piece is a little too light for that. Anyway, so yeah, we have the head here, the neck, and of course the jaw is opening. Closing, not really too much to go on there. It's dragon head. What do you expect? And in the Master Wu Dragon video, I mentioned that the neck was a little bit too floppy because this head is a lot bigger than the head that comes in the original set. But in this case, I actually managed to fix it by bulking up the little, I'm not sure what you would call this in a dragon, the sternum. I bulked that up a little bit, and now the neck just gently rests on that, which is unfortunate if you want your Griefbringer Dragon to be able to, gobble up the peasants on the ground or something, but for posing and displaying, I think this is a much better alternative. And speaking of which, you can see I also added in some subtle hints at a ribcage here. We have some little ribs poking out there. I actually think I managed to end up with 3. We have some larger ones here and then some smaller ones here. It's a pretty simple design, and originally I was going to go for something more complex, but the problem is the front legs kind of got in the way there, or the ribs got in the way of the front legs, however you want to look at it. And then as you can see, the tail is also unchanged. I just also did a color swap there. And I know the secondary color scheme for the Griefbringer Dragon is gray, but since the Master Wu Dragon did have a lot of existing black on the body here and on the wings, I thought it'd be better just to use a black and white color scheme. Plus, to me, it looks just a little bit more striking. And it's kind of ironic that I mentioned using the Master Wu Dragon to kind of keep the cost of the build down, and then I end up using these wing pieces, which really haven't been used in any recent sets. But if you want, you could always swap them out for something else. Or failing that, you could just rip out these wings entirely and just use the wyvern wings, or whatever that thing is called, from the Harry Potter set from last summer. Those wings look pretty cool too. Plus, they mostly blend in. They're brown, so maybe not entirely, but if you can make it work, you can make it work. Other than that, the main build stayed pretty consistent to the Master Wu Dragon, so nothing too exciting there. I also did remove the saddle because it was only resting on these 2 studs, and the Griefbringer Dragon, from what I can tell, doesn't have a saddle. But you can see there are some studs here, so if you want to have your Skull Sorcerer minifigure riding on the back here, you could do that, or your custom version, which there is one of those too on my channel. Man, this video is just full of self-promotion, sorry. It didn't start out that way. It honestly was just supposed to be me showing off this build. I'm not sure where this video went. And at this point, I would probably throw in a build tutorial or something, but I guess you really don't need one. I mean, the only part that's really original is the head, and if you want to know how to make that, I actually kind of have a building guide over on the Master Wu Dragon video. All you really need to do is make sure these head pieces these pieces are white, or if you don't have white, just whatever color you want your Griefbringer to be. And then from there, you just swap out the colors here. Basically, in the wings, what I did was I removed the sail pieces. I just want to call those plastic things sail pieces. Basically, I just removed those, added in one of these Technic angle beams going in there, and shortened this thing, I think, and then just threw in these bat wings. And of course, like I said earlier, if you don't have them, don't feel bad about throwing in something else. Just, experiment with other pieces that you have and find something that looks good. And, then I threw these angle plates on here. I threw in some black teeth pieces just for added texture and to kind of, for a little consistency, hopefully, between the wings. And yeah, that was pretty much it. There's honestly nothing more than that for the wings. Now, the only real tricky part was the body down here with the ribs, as you can see. So building the rib cage is sadly a little bit more involved, and I'll see if I can explain it without having to tear this whole thing apart, and hopefully in a way that kind of makes sense for you. And yeah, so basically what I had to do was I took out the inverted wedge slope thingy here, and basically I just took one of these pieces, it's right up on screen here, and added in some clip pieces with some teeth pieces, put in an inverted bracket, took out whatever plate was here, and just replaced it with a 2x6 white plate. Also replaced this piece, which was originally black, with a white one. And then from there, I just made the rib cage. Oh, and I also took a 1x2 tooth piece and some wedge slopes, plugged that in. And in case I forgot to mention, I will put a part list in the description with most of the parts that you'll be needing for this thing. And then I made this assembly, which is a tooth piece with some horns and one of those weird side connector pieces. You know, I just now noticed this kind of looks a lot like a cow skull. So that was kind of an unintentional mini build here. I guess we're getting 2 for the price of 1. Anyway, so then we're going to plug that in. We're going to make another one of these assemblies, which is just a simple plate this time, along with that other rib cage assembly. We're going to plug that in. If you want, you could alternate it just so that there's more spacing between the ribs. But I think with the final version, what I ended up doing was just doing this, which I guess is a shame because then the ribs are kind of hidden behind the front legs. But, I mean, it works, I guess, whichever way you want to do. Yeah, and then from there, you just have to plug in the front legs and then plug in the back legs. And there you go. That is how you build your miniature Griefbringer dragon. Hopefully that made sense to you. Hopefully that wasn't just a complete jumble of an explanation. But yeah, if you followed that, there you go. Alright, that is it for today. You guys already know what to do. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and all of that other good stuff. If you want to see more of my content, please feel free to check out the other videos on my channel. And also, stay subscribed. We have more exciting minifigure builds and custom builds and set modifications and set destruction coming your way in just a little bit.